What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tapping into another episode of the Mindful Moneymakers podcast, where we talk about the different tips, tricks, and mindset shifts you need to make if you want to live a life by design instead of by default. Today, I'm super excited because we have a very, very, very special guest, a powerhouse in the personal development field, a speaker, a coach, top 100 business coach, a world-renowned, just all around good guy, David Meltzer. I'm so excited to be talking to you today. How are you?
I'm amazing, and what a nice introduction. And I love the setup for that introduction because your life is your design. And you talk about the mindset, the heart set, the hand sets necessary. And you and I share so much of the same perspective, but live different journeys, but with that potential result. And that's why I was so excited to be on here to help people reach their potential and be happy reaching it.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for inviting me to the Playbook studio.
You're
We
right
just
on.
build a podcast episode for you, and now we have the opportunity to ask you some questions, flip the table.
Thank you.
And I want to start off by asking you a little bit about how you got started. Where are you now and where are you headed?
I got started in a world of not enough. You're probably familiar with this world. I grew up a victim with a single mom, 6 kids, abused as a kid, 5 brothers and a sister, packing my dinner with a paper bag just so I could eat, so she could fill up turnstiles at the convenience store with greeting cards as she taught 2nd grade in the morning and then took us out at night just so we had enough money to survive. And everything to me revolved around money because I was so happy as a kid. All this different trauma, all these different things that people look down upon. But I had this extraordinary mom, these extraordinary siblings who ended up being passionate, purposeful, and profitable people. But my mindset was, man, money will buy me happiness because the only thing missing in my life is money. And I'm going to buy my mom a house, I'm going to buy her a car, and my life is going to be complete. And so it all started through a journey of learning the right character, the right actions, but for the wrong reason. And that's what money represents to me. It's learning that money's not a good or a bad thing, but it allows you to shop. And if you shop for the right things, it can make you really happy. And if you shop for the wrong things, for the wrong reasons, it can cause you miserable death even. And my journey started there in a world of not enough. And I had to go through a lot of different lessons in order to move from that world to the one I live in today.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep, super deep. And one thing that you said, I think that it's important to highlight is the power of money. I know that we realize that money is opportunity, money is choice, right? But money can also be your biggest detriment. If you don't have a healthy relationship with it, if you don't have a healthy understanding of what money is, then you could really run into some serious trouble. I want to attack this idea that money is the root of all evil, right?
Yeah.
And what type of effect that can happen, because I know that there's a lot of people listening right now that eat the billionaires, eat the rich, but yet still strive and wake up every single day because they need the almighty dollar, but yet you have these conflicting beliefs. What would you have to say to those people?
Yeah, money doesn't have a personality. It's an energy. Money's a currency. By its definition, it's an object of energy that you put into the flow to get what you want. It's what you want that could be deemed as positive or negative. What you want can help other people, I deem it as positive. If what you want destroys things, situations, and people, then it's negative. But it's absolutely not the root of anything. It's a currency. Mm-hmm. The root of everything is something bigger than you and I, something that you and I share a belief of. The root of all everything is the omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source that loves me and you, not only equally, but more than our own moms love us, more than we can even love our own children. And I think when you root what you are, and who you want to become in that type of faith, that the ludicrous statement that money could be the root of anything is just that, absolutely ludicrous. And I find that people that have faith and foundation in what they do start applying that currency to the other currency. See, I told you already that money is a currency. It's an object of energy we put into the flow to get what we want. And if we want the right things for the right reasons, it's going to make you happy. But the second currency, which reconciles with that currency, is one that vibrates even faster, that has a higher frequency, that gives you even a greater awareness. Faith is a currency. Faith is an object of energy that I put into the flow to get what I want. And if I wish for the right things for the right reasons, I'm going to be really happy. That's why health is so important, Talmadge, because health allows you to have as many wishes a day as you want. It allows you to be a resource. See, if we have a source, an omniscient, all-powerful, all-knowing source, and we have wishes, that makes us a resource. We're able and capable through those wishes in order to execute and implement upon those wishes to materialize or monetize them in whatever we deem to be appropriate. But if you're unhealthy, you only have one wish. And so I utilize all of these different philosophies of faith, of money, and of health in order to empower other people like you and others, to empower other people to simply be happy so that they can make enough money to help enough people and have enough fun in their lives where they expand, grow, and accelerate and allow others to do the same. They liberate others with the light inside of them to liberate others with the light inside of them as well.
Right, indeed. Yes, and I resonate with that. I'm so glad that you've committed yourself in your life to helping others through the power of light and love. I believe wholeheartedly that what you said, when you want the right things for the right reasons, the world will open up to you, right? And there's something super powerful about being committed to giving, right? I don't see any difference or separation between giving and receiving, right? It's the same thing.
Amen.
It's two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, that's an abundant philosophy, right? If you don't live in a zero-sum game where if you give to receive, right, that it takes away from someone when you win, it takes away from someone when you ask, that's a zero-sum game. The universe is expanding, growing, and accelerating at an extraordinary pace. And so when we ask, we're adding value. When we give, we're adding value. These are all reconciled with one another. You know, to this point, I went through a major shift in my life, and I'm going to tell you a quick story because I think it's important when we talk about how money is related to faith. So when I was CEO of Samsung's first phone division, just got hired to be CEO of Lee Steinberg Sports Entertainment, most notable sports agency in the world, I was asked to speak at Beverly Hills High. And Larry King was the other keynote speaker. They get these extraordinary speakers, probably the richest high school in America. And I drove my Ferrari up to the front of the school, parked it in the red zone, hurried up 5 minutes before the speech, gave knuckles to Larry King, came on with great hubris and arrogance, thinking that all the kids loved me and were mostly impressed by everything I had in my speech and what I talked about. And I remember leaving the school at that time, and somebody said, "Hey, that's that a-hole with the Ferrari."
Dang.
And it hurt my feelings bad. Years later, when I came to this new reconciliation of faith and money, I drove a Chevy Volt, and I was running, at that time, Sports One Marketing, best-selling author, speaker, coach. My life has been dedicated to being of service, to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. I drove my Chevy Volt, and I parked it appropriately, far away from the auditorium. They had asked me again to be a keynote speaker. I went in with humility, not hubris. I gave my speech about giving and receiving, being one. How that my life's mission was to empower them to be happy, to make a lot of money, help a lot of people, and have a lot of fun through gratitude. The only common denominator of happiness, no matter how poor you are or rich you are, I said, no matter how tall you are or how short you are, no matter what a great athlete or not a great athlete, whether you're sick or well, gratitude's the only common denominator of happiness, and that's what I wanted to share. When I left, walking the long distance to my Chevy Volt, although I had more money than I had when I had the Ferrari, some kid yelled out, "Hey, wait up, there's the gratitude guy." Now, I had a client of mine buy a Lambo, and I told him this story. And I said, "Then why the F did you buy a Lambo? What world am I teaching you that you think people are going to be impressed by the Lamborghini?" And he looked at me and he said, "Dave, I was born in the inner city. Most of the kids in the inner city look like me, not like you." And I bought that Lambo because when I drive up in my Lambo, those kids run to my car and they're like, "Hey, you play for the Dodgers? You play for the Lakers? You an artist, man? What raps up, right? What do you do?"
Right.
And he said, I bought it so I could get out of the car and say, I read books and help people.
Mm.
So money
It's hidden.
doesn't buy you happiness. The Lambo didn't buy him happiness, and the Ferrari didn't buy me happiness. But buying the Lambo for the right reasons, not the reasons I bought my Ferrari, for the right reasons, not only made him happy, but are going to make a lot of other kids happy as well. So I think that's a great example of how money is relative and related in a currency to faith.
Right, right. And so many. That's such a great story. That's such a great story, and it hit me because I resonate with it. I remember having visions of, well, I want a nice house. I want to be able to travel. I want, nice things, and I had to ask myself why. And when I do that, it was for the same reason. It was because I know that it grabs attention, and people would ask me questions like that, right? It also, in my experience, has made me feel like without those things, nobody wanted to listen to me, right?
Yeah.
And so that's interesting that you bring that up, because now I get to tackle that part too, because, even without the Lambo, you get to show up, you get to serve, and it's just as fulfilling. But not to take away from your point or anything, that's a super powerful perspective to have on why you do something, because you both did the same thing, but the reasoning being different made all the difference. I was gonna ask you, because we had talked about money being the door opener to being able to serve and help people. I wanted to know a little bit about what your most fulfilling experience that money has provided you to go ahead and help some other people, what that was.
I will tell you, it allowed me to build 2 community centers in Africa. Not only the money that my wife and I have saved, but also because of the relationships that we've procured from having money and helping people and doing the right things, that other people gave money as well. And so the thousands of kids and thousands of families and thousands of grandparents that live in Kenya are going to, for longevity, benefit from a community center where we're sharing what the new generation has learned and the culture and stories that won't be lost from the older generation that may have had a lot of things to unlearn. That's the way that I like to put it. I'm getting old myself, and there's some things I have to unlearn. And I want the younger generation to know that's all it is. I have very good intentions. I've, worked on a multitude of equality, equity. My business partner, for goodness sake, was Warren Moon. I represented the Clemente family, Jackie Robinson.
Jeez.
Like, my whole life was dedicated to equality and equity. But I still have some things to unlearn when it comes to race. I just have to unlearn it because I watch certain television shows, listen to certain radio things, went to school, bust into certain places, not bust in, economically, socially, economically biased, all of those different things. And I kept thinking to myself, when you talk about having money, not having money has taught me more than having money. And you had $150,000 of loans. I had $100,000 of law loans, which are probably equal in value today when I went to school. But I remember sitting on the end of my bed, my second year in law school during the recession, where I went to the law school, over 97% of the kids had jobs getting out of law school. By the time I was the second year in law school in the recession, only 13% had jobs getting out of law school, and I had borrowed $100,000. So I said to myself, on the edge of my bed, Lord, if you will allow me to buy my mom a house and a car and pay off my law loans, I will shovel shit with my hands 6 days a week, 12 hours a day in gratitude. So when I graduated law school and ended up getting a job in the internet, ended up having an opportunity to make 7 figures, which I did 9 months out of law school, because I had no money, I had framed my life in a different perspective of gratitude. So when everybody else was complaining they got to drive 6 hours here or had to do this, not be with their family or do this, all my mindset was, this sure beats the heck out of shoveling shit with my hands 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. And that's why having money and not having money. I always tell people, raise your hand if you grew up broke. Half the people raise their hand. I'm like, I feel sorry for the rest of you. You can learn to have money. You cannot learn what it's like not to have money.
Right.
If you have it.
Yeah. Not without losing it.
Exactly, which I did too.
Get excited.
So I had to relearn.
Get excited. I want to touch on, while I have you, this idea that, you are the sum of the 5 people that you hang around. I find that fascinating because the big question there is, well, how do I just up and choose quality people? Like, coming from where I come from and where you come from, you can't just up and decide to become friends with 5 millionaires, right? I think that the answer to that question is you change, you shift who you are, your energy changes, your language changes, you connect with different people. But my question for you is, because we talked about mentorship, right? How do you go about finding a quality mentor? How do you start building that relationship and having that start to build you up in the right direction?
Well, fortunately, today it's a lot easier to ask, right? It's not only a lot easier to ask for that mentorship, coaching, and teaching and training, but there's a variety of methodologies and mediums that we can access that information. When we were younger, we were very limited in who we could ask. We were limited in the mediums and modalities in which we could find Think and Grow Rich or the Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Today, you just search it on Google and you get all types of content. So I think, understanding how to ask, but not just how to ask, how to find people who sit in the situation we want to be in, whether it's on a podcast like yours, whether it's in a movie, a TV show, a Netflix special, or YouTube station, whatever it may be. Where do we find it? We're a society of access today. And so the better we can access the people and ideas that we want to become, the more that will aggregate. We will raise our vibration and frequency, our consciousness, by that which we surround ourselves with. Although you cannot solve a problem with the same consciousness, we can elevate our conscious by surrounding it with higher consciousnesses. So when we start taking in the right ideas with the right people, coincidences happen. I have a mathematical equation that helps with this all the time. I call it the mathematical equation of luck. What we pay attention to, what we focus in on, plus what we give intention to, what we think, say, do, and believe, but also feel. So if we focus in on what we want and then think, say, do, believe, and feel it, it equals coincidence. Attention plus intention equals coincidence. So through that access of quality information, quality people in our lives, by being able to go to master classes around the greats, not just millionaires, brother, billionaires. Billionaires, you can have access to Elon Musk, Richard Branson, all these amazing greats, Tony Robbins, amazing people you have access to for free. You just have to go ahead and put and initiate the attention and intention to create those same coincidences that we were not afforded, you and I, when we were younger. You could be lucky if you could afford the book or get the late charges at the library, but that took a lot more energy than it does today to find and elevate that awareness that we have.
For sure. Yeah. So what I'm hearing is, don't discount, having a mentor through your phone, through your screen.
Not at all.
Yeah. Don't discount that. Right. That's dope. That's super powerful. My question for you now is, for everybody listening right now, what is one thing, maybe a baby step, something you could do right here, right now, in the moment, to start living a little bit more by design and less by default?
Oh, that's easy, man. Say thank you before you go to bed and when you wake up. I wasn't joking when I told you gratitude is the common denominator of happiness. The easiest way to change your life is to say thank you, to find the light, the love, and the lessons in your day and your night, to program and reprogram yourself to a higher being, to clear the interference of those ego-based consciousnesses, to feel the genius, the expression of God coming through you for others. Gratitude is it. You could study physics, metaphysics, and quantum physics like myself. You could surround yourself with the greatest thought leaders, from Sadhguru to Deepak Chopra to Jack Canfield, Bob Proctor, Mary Morrissey, Sharon Lecter, Kiyosaki. All of them agree. Gratitude is the most powerful thing. And I'll tell you why it's so interesting is that although everyone in this studio, everyone on this earth would agree that gratitude is the most powerful common denominator of happiness and abundance, by tonight, because of the ego, half of us won't say thank you. By tomorrow morning, another half of us won't say thank you. And within 3 days, because we are so far in our own way that we lack coherence, the ability to remember what's important and to do it, in 3 days, almost all of us, although we know the ultimate truth, it's free, it takes zero point 0.1 seconds. Within 3 days, almost all of us won't say thank you. So when someone asks me, what's the easiest way to change your life, the baby step to take, just say thank you before you went to bed and before you wake up. When you wake up, I promise you your life will change for the better, guaranteed. I actually have a 14-day gratitude challenge to teach people this. Anybody, I'll send my book challenges, david@dmeltzer.com. Anybody wants it, reach out to me. It's all free, just like saying thank you. So I'd love for people to reach out and grab that.
Solid. And I'm glad that you said that, because I would definitely want to encourage anybody listening to this right now to go ahead on and check out dmeltzer.com and get the book. Join the challenge, because I've experienced this firsthand. Gratitude is the key. Gratitude is the absolute key. You start reprogramming your mind to find the good in life, and more good will come to you. Matter of fact, they said, be grateful for what you have, and soon you'll have more to be grateful for. It plays over and over.
Over and over.
Right? That's the key. That's the bomb. Thank you so much.
Speaking of gratitude, thank you for having me on and giving me an opportunity to hopefully empower others to be happy.
You don't get to thank me. I'm thanking you.
All right. Back and forth.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Gratitude all around. Before I tap out, I do want to, express our alignment, because what you just said, your mission to empower 1 billion people to be happy.
Don't limit me, brother.
I got you. 7 billion people.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody gets to be happy. And my mission of empowering and inspiring people to live by design instead of by default. See, mine is 1 million, so I'm limited. But I really love that we had the opportunity to come together, and I do believe that it's because of that vibration, that frequency, that coincidence. Where I put my attention and my intention led us to this stage, and that's so dope. So I'm eternally grateful. For sure.
We'll do more together. I appreciate you, Thomas. Thanks for having me.
That's love. And to everybody watching at home, as always, love, be well, and don't forget to have the guts to follow your guts. Peace.